Welcome to Kenan Stadium in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. A beautiful Saturday afternoon as the Tar Heel football team wraps up spring practice. ESPN bringing you coverage of spring games from around the country the next few weeks. Today, North Carolina showcases its talent with the annual Blue-White game. Carolina coming off its second straight 8-win season, and they've got 19 starters back on offense and defense. Pretty good crowd here in Chapel Hill as the Tar Heels are ready to take the field. North Carolina with a ridiculously tough schedule coming up in 2010, starting with LSU, the opening Saturday night on ABC. Hi, everyone. With Chris Spielman and Mark May, I'm Dave Pasch. Joe Schad alongside Shortly. Well, guys, last year this defense, one of the best in the country. Chris, will they be the best in the country in the fall?
Well, you look at it, they have legitimate NFL prospects that made a conscious decision to come back together. Marvin Austin, Quan Sturdivant, Bruce Carter, Kendrick Burney, all these guys are top-notch players. If they can put it together and hold it together until that offense is going Mayday, they got a legitimate shot at the ACC championship.
Yeah, the offense not very good last year, but they do have 10 starters back. TJ Yates, obviously a key guy, Mark.
Well, he's got to protect the football better. Last season, he threw for more interceptions than touchdown passes, 15 versus 14. The key is, can he manage the football game, not turn the football over, rely on his supporting cast, get the ball to the wide receivers and running backs, and take the pressure out of the quarterback position. I think he can. I think he's had a great spring. That's what the coaches have told us.
All right, guys, Joe Schad earlier had a chance to talk with North Carolina coach Butch Davis.
Dave, thanks very much. Coach Davis, we know what you have on defense. Tell me about what you hope to accomplish in this spring game offensively today.
We know, Joe, I mean, obviously we're looking for playmakers. We're looking for some depth and some guys to kind of emerge in the offensive line. It's one of the areas where we really suffered last year. A lot of young guys, but we think that they've made some significant strides and progress during spring practice. Hopefully today we'll find out a little bit more about them.
All right, thank you.
And a revelation, guys, yesterday when we were talking with Butch Davis, is he said that TJ Yates, it's not just his job to lose, but it's possibly Bryn Renner's job to win, and that both will likely play against LSU. How about that? Renner's never played in a college football game, and he might get some snaps against the Tigers?
I'm still trying to figure out what that means. It's his job to lose and his job to win. What's that mean? It doesn't mean anything to me. He's talking about getting Renner some snaps against LSU, but if TJ Yates starts out for 10 for 12 for 128, he's not getting any snaps.
And Greg Little on the opening kickoff. And all the kickoffs they're going to spot at the 30, even though Little might have taken that one to the house. And here's the aforementioned Bryn Renner, who is a redshirt freshman who also plays on the North Carolina baseball team. He's got a strong arm. Coaches say he's a competitor, very high energy, but like a lot of young quarterbacks, guys, they feel that he's uncertain sometimes of where he's going with the ball.
Well, the coaches told us when we had a chance to speak with him the other day that he's the type of quarterback that out of 60 plays, 45 will be awful. But those 15 plays, Chris, he'll be, oh, man, magnificent. This is what you're looking for out of the quarterback position.
And I do believe playing baseball has stunted his growth at that position, especially the quarterback position, where you need to be in every meeting, every rep.
They're going to run Anthony Elzey here on first down, and he picks up about 3 yards. And you talked about Renner playing baseball. He's missed some meeting time and some practice time. Of course, you only get 20 hours a week and no more than 4 hours a day. But coaches feel like he's done a really good job of volunteering his services to do the extra work to try to get caught up.
I'm old school. I'm a one-sport guy. If you're here to play football, play football. If you're going to play baseball, do that in the summer when you're back home having fun with the guys.
Yeah, who's paying the bills, man? Is baseball paying the bills, or is football paying the bills?
Baseball team has been good, though. 4 straight College World Series appearances. Another run play, and there's Robert Quinn, who is a terrific player, along with Kevin Reddick, middle linebacker, making the stop. Loss on the play. Let's check in with Joe.
Guys, it's a huge trend in the ACC quarterbacks who also play baseball. Bryn Renner once tried out for the Yankees. He's a legitimate baseball prospect. Russell Wilson, North Carolina State, Kyle Parker, Clemson, they're both 2 sports stars as well. Like you said, guys, coaches want Brenner at some point to focus on one sport. They say he's got tremendous talent. It's just kind of raw right now.
I love that word prospect, Joe. Well, right now he's a football player. He's not a prospect. He's a football player on scholarship. Forget about being a prospect.
And Renner's first pass probably would have gotten sacked by Robert Quinn. Instead, he completes it for a first down to the tight end, Ed Barham. No tackling of the quarterback in the spring game. It's a 9-yard pickup. And we're going to see a lot of Robert Quinn this fall getting to ACC quarterbacks. First team All-ACC, was second in the league with 11 sacks.
Well, he's working against Peyton Jennist, a walk-on out there. So Coach Day would say Robert Quinn was going to probably get about 8 plays, and you see that burst off the corner. And that, as an offensive lineman, Mark, I know one thing, that fear, the guys that I hung out with that were tackles, fear of speed was always a concern for an offensive lineman.
Absolutely. You're in the huddle, you ask the quarterback, where's the tight end going to line up?
Or any H-back, and which way we slide. And is my center coming out to help?
Let's sprint to the right.
I want to ask you a question about this, though, because I'm all for guys living their dream. Russell Wilson at North Carolina State. Joe Shad and I were over there today talking to Coach O'Brien. He gets it. But at what point do you make a decision to be a quarterback? If your future's at quarterback, then you have to make that commitment. I'm being serious. I'm not being sarcastic. That's the position where you need to devote everything. The 20-hour week, you might as well throw that thing out the window. You need to put 40 to 60 hours a week to be the type of quarterback you need to be in Division I football.
Renner, as Quinn got to him again, as Jennist having trouble blocking the All-America candidate.
What I say about that tight end being over on the left side to help out Jennist? That's unfair. You've got a guy that's going to end up being a first-round pick in the NFL, a guy that can run the 40 in about 4.5 and change, and can get up the field and one of the best in the nation, and he's going against a walkout. I don't know who picked the teams, how they picked this matchup, but whoever picked the matchup for the blue team, I think they won that battle.
Well, there's some injuries on the offensive line, and the normal left tackle for North Carolina, Carl Gaskins, is out due to injury, and he should be their starter. And Alan Pelk, who probably will start at one of the guard positions, he's out with injury as well. Here's 3rd and 10 for Renner. It's good protection this time, and a nice throw, finding Greg Little for a first down to the 41. Good toss.
Did you see what happened on that play? They had a sprint to the right with the quarterback. They used the back in the backfield to help out Jennist on Quinn to make sure he couldn't get there, and a terrific job by the quarterback, Bryn Renner, of throwing that football on the run. Terrific job. If your best pass rushers on the backside, run away from him.
Yeah, they put Elzy on there to help out Jennist. And again, the dimension of being able to have that variety in your offense, to be able to sprint out and throw the football, and leaving Greg Little, who's a terrific athlete, one-on-one on the corner. He's going to win that battle 9 out of 10 times.
Another pass play here. And Quinn again probably would have gotten a sack. Instead, Barham on the catch to the 34-yard line for about 7 yards. And guys, we talk about the quarterback position, how important it is with Yates and Renner. But Greg Little is a guy that can help the quarterback out. He thought about going pro, elected to stay in college. He caught 62 passes last year, had 2 touchdowns, and a loss to Pittsburgh in the Meineke Car Care Bowl.
Well, just real quick, I had a unique experience of living with Greg Little for 10 days when he was in between his senior year in high school and coming to North Carolina in this little show called Summer House.
Yeah, you might want to explain that a little bit further.
Yes, I will.
Here's play action, and they roll Renner out again. And it's caught for a first down. I think the receiver was out of bounds, though, and the official throws his hat. I think Little actually stepped out. So it should be an incompletion there. All right, a little bit more in depth here on what you're talking about with Greg Little, an opportunity to get to know him that one.
Well, ESPNU did a show called Summer House where they bring all these senior prospects that were going into college, and Greg was one of the guys that were chosen to live with me, and I was like the house dad. And the first thing I noticed about Greg is just a tremendous athlete, very talented, but also a little confident. And there's a difference between being confident and cocky. Greg was leaning on the cocky side, but as he's matured, entering his 4th year, he's come to the confident side, and he just has a tremendous upside. It's only his 2nd year of playing wide receiver. He was a running back here his freshman year, sophomore year, was in between, started to develop his skills as a wide receiver, and this year I really expect him to explode onto the scene in the ACC, especially if the quarterback is consistent.
Well, he told me he was just glad he didn't have to do your laundry anymore.
Well, I have you for that, Dave.
No. There's John Shoup, the offensive coordinator, longtime NFL assistant.
He's got a bright future. I think that's one of both of these coordinators, I think they both have bright futures, and in the next year or two, they'll probably be up for some head coaching jobs.
We talk about Everett Withers on the other side, absolutely.
And there was Quinn again, probably would have been a sack on Renner. Instead, it's complete to Elzy, and he's to the 15-yard line. Jonathan Smith on the stop.
All this whole spring, because if your offense struggles, everything is geared toward the offense. Let's look good, boys. You have Robert Quinn, and I know it's not fair, but if I'm on the defensive side of the ball, I say, wait a second, we're making plays. We got a sack, and we're letting this guy get away with throwing screen passes when he was sacked 10 seconds ago.
Yeah, but the thing is,
all right, let's
as
go.
a defender, you've got to read it's a screen. You've got to be able to identify that it's a screen, and you stop your pass rush, you turn around, you get in the lane, and you intercept the ball, or you knock down the running back.
Yeah,
you don't keep going after the quarterback because you're hungry.
Dude, he hit him before the ball was let go.
Chris didn't do very well with the no hitting of the quarterback rule in spring practice. Elzy picks up the first down at the 12.
No, I bet in simulated scrimmages like this, you were the type of guy that you blitz when there wasn't blitzing in the scrimmage. You were one of those guys that if it was play action, you just ran straight through and just tried to sack the quarterback.
Yeah, I just said, Coach, I got caught up in the play action. I'm sorry. I remember I hit a quarterback one time in spring ball, and Earl Bruce got so mad at me that after the spring game, he got a golf cart and made me do Buckeye reminders for 100 yards. And what Buckeye reminders are is that you run 5 yards, do an up down, run 5 yards, do an up down. He called me a selfish SOB. I said, what do you mean? He said, you can't be hitting our quarterback. And Coach Bruce was a little old school, you know, Dave.
Here's another run play to Elzy. They've got some injuries at the tailback position, including Johnny White, who, get this, guys, he hurt himself going out to dinner with his mother last night. Sprained his ankle on his way out to dinner, and that's why he is not participating in the spring game today. Anything like that ever happen to you guys on your way out to dinner before a spring game? Just happened to have an injury?
Not a regular season game. If I was playing against Reggie White or Lawrence Taylor, I would came up with the flu or a sprained ankle right before the game.
That was a Reggie factor, wasn't it? The Reggie hump? You ever get the Reggie hump thrown on you?
Oh, yes.
Or the jumpy lift? Jumpy Gathers forklift?
In practice.
Here's second down. Good play fake by Renner. And a strike. Touchdown, Greg Little. Some really impressive throws there, guys, by Bryn Renner on that drive.
What really impresses me, we saw him roll to the right, throw right, and he rolled to the left, throw to the left. I thought when you watch a quarterback that can do that on both sides of the field, he turns his shoulders, faces the defense, throws the football with confidence. That's one of the things that offensive coordinator John Shoup told us. When you watch him play, he just gives you those plays and you say, wow. Now that's an excellent throw.
Well, you see those shoulders, you hit it right, Mark. The shoulders were turned and they were parallel to the wide receiver. Watch that left shoulder come around, pointing to Greg Little, who ran an excellent route, pushed the corner inside, broke it to the outside, and the ball was delivered on time and on target because of the shoulder turn.
Point after good by Trace Jones, redshirt freshman Bryn Renner, an impressive orchestration of a 13-play, 70-yard drive that leads to a Greg Little touchdown catch. Chapel Hill, a great turnout for the North Carolina spring game. And in talking with some of the players yesterday, they said past spring games, pretty much glorified scrimmages, but this is different. There's a lot of pressure today, and you have to wonder, is TJ Yates may be feeling a little pressure after that great opening drive by, right now anyway, the backup quarterback, Renner, for North Carolina. And Boyd on the return again. They'll spot all kick returns at the 30-yard line. Now, third-year starter, Yates, more interceptions and touchdowns, although the coaches said he's had a great spring, but come fall, it's really obvious he just can't turn it over. They've got a chance with their defense if he does not give teams short field.
He's got to manage the football game. He's got to make sure that the supporting cast and wide receivers, running backs, they all touch the ball. They've got nice depth at the tight end position. He can't make sure that he's in a position where he's got to control the offense and take it over all by himself, because he's not that type of quarterback.
They're going to run it to Drawn, who missed the end of last season with a shoulder injury. And you guys talked about injuries being a big problem for them last year in the offensive line, at the running back position, and at the receiver position. They're healthy with that defense. Again, they should be a contender in the ACC.
Well, and they have to run the football. And that's what they're building their offensive line. They have 10 guys dressed for the spring game, but they have to get some depth and they have to become more physical. How do you help a quarterback in a passing game? If you run the football, that's how you help it. And they feel like they'll be able to do that this year. with some of the guys that they have coming back, plus the experience that those 3 true freshmen that Mark talked about in the open, those guys have game experience, and they're talented guys. Because Butch Davis is a smart guy. He understands that it's not about the X's and O's, it's about the Jessies and Joes. And when he came to North Carolina, he's recruiting the top-notch players. He's not going after or settling for second-tier players. He's going after talent and speed, and he's finally got that, I think, a commitment to that. And guys are coming to North Carolina to play. I mean, they passed the eyeball test. I know that.
And Yates with time, but everybody covered. And Yates throwing it away as he was being chased by Zach Brown, who's on the North Carolina track team. They have never finished higher than 92nd in total offense under Butch Davis. This is his 4th year. Had trouble scoring last year. And talked about, Mark, the fact 108th in total offense.
And they want to change that definitely. If they can stay healthy up front, I think that's the key. We discussed that. If they can run the ball effectively, particularly on first down, you don't want your quarterback in those 2nd and 8, 2nd and 10 situations. Get him in those management positions where it's 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2, where you can either run it or pass it. I think that's what they're gearing towards. And they've got to find a way to protect the ball and to score more points to help that defense.
Here's Yates on 2nd and 10, setting up the screen. And again, Zach Brown making a great play. We talked about a handful of guys on defense that elected not to go to the NFL. Brown didn't have that opportunity, being just a sophomore last year, but he's another guy who's got a lot of speed. That's what this defense is based on, speed.
Well, and again, what Butch will do is he'll recruit safeties, turn them into linebackers, and Zach Brown competes in the indoor track for North Carolina in a 60-meter dash. You're talking about a linebacker competing in a 60-meter dash. We're in a 6'7", 60 meters.
Loss of 6 yards because of Zach Brown on that play there. Yates stepping up and overthrows Highsmith, his intended receiver. So you have the white team marching down the field and scoring, led by redshirt freshman quarterback Bryn Renner, and then you have the soon-to-be senior T.J. Yates going 3 and out.
3-6. I know it's early, but when you look at both quarterbacks right now, the better quarterback seems to be Renner at this time. He seems to be more confident the way he's doing things. I know it's only been a series for each, but still at this point in time, he's got the upper edge.
Well, right now he does, and when you look at T.J. Yates, the thing about him is I don't think he's going to get rattled. I mean, here's a kid that's had success his sophomore year before he was injured. He was leading the ACC in pass efficiency. Last year he wasn't very good, but he knows what it's like to play. And you know, it's easy to shine on your home field playing against the defenses that you know that aren't blitzing. I'm not saying that Renner's not doing a good job. I'm saying the challenge isn't as great as it will be when LSU comes to town.
It's certainly hard to sit here and gauge which quarterback is better based on spring game, but you're right. Renner does look more comfortable, but guys, can you win the ACC with a guy who hasn't played at the quarterback position when you got Ja'Cory Harris at Miami, who's gotten a lot of snaps, and Christian Ponder at Florida State?
I think with the athletes that they have here, because right now mentally they're geared defensively. They're going to win defensively regardless. They just want to make sure the offense doesn't lose the game for them. And I think if you put a quarterback in that position, that he's going to distribute the ball to the great athletes they've got on the outside, and if they can get the running back going, it can be done.
Yeah, you know, I got just a little bit different theory on that. And it's just me. I think, look, in order for you to be a national championship contender, which is the goal of this football team, the trigger man's got to be the guy. I mean, he's got to produce. He's got to make plays. He can't turn the ball over. And he's got to make big plays. He's got to, and you have to be able to throw the ball down the field. Now, they have the talent to do that, but I don't know if you can do it with a first-year guy or not. Eventually, some guys become first-year guys, and if they do it, then you can do it.
Who won the national championship last year?
That'd be Alabama.
How many games did Greg McElroy start before the season started?
How many?
0. Yeah. And what did they do? They won a national championship with the quarterback that handed the ball off.
Yeah. Okay, so you're telling me we got Mark Ingram playing for North Carolina all of a sudden? I didn't see him. Did he transfer?
Offensive line
Did he
transfer?
Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't see that. Well, I thought we were talking about this particular.
Are we comparing both defenses? Both defenses are kind of similar.
I don't know about that.
Athletically.
I mean, this is a very good defense.
Yes.
And they played well last year, but they didn't play well enough. And I can go back to the Georgia Tech game.
Yeah.
Where they were, on the field, where Georgia Tech basically
42 minutes Georgia Tech had the ball.
Shoved it down their throat.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're talking about a great defense, you don't let a team hold the ball against you for 42 minutes.
Marvin Austin, when we talked to him yesterday, he told us they were cutting us. They were cutting us, Chris.
Really? That's you cheap, dirty offensive lineman.
It's legal.
Cutting and hold. That's what you do, yeah.
Here's another run play. Elsie tripped up, and a good push there by Jordan Nix, a transfer from Oklahoma. at the defensive tackle position. Lost a couple starters, Cam Thomas and E.J. Wilson, who both likely will get drafted. But the 9 guys back that are starting at defense, pretty good. A handful of those guys could have been picked in the first couple rounds had they decided to go pro.
Well, the guys that I talked to, you look at Carter, Sturdivant, and Austin. Those guys are at least second round. All of them probably wouldn't have lasted through the second round. You look at Cam Thomas, losing him, he's probably going to be a third-round pick, and E.J. Wilson will go to third to fourth round. So that's, again, a testament to Butch and what he's doing as far as recruiting talent.
Here's Renner again. They roll him out, and the throw is a little behind his intended receiver, Joshua Adams. So it's 4th down.
The guy that might be the best that's a freak, and most affectionate term of the word freak, is Robert Quick. I mean, he's just, we saw him yesterday. Yeah. That's a man's man.
Wow. And he's so humble and quiet.
He doesn't know how good he is.
Well, the other guys on the team have nicknamed him Atlas, and we asked why. And it's not because he looks like the guy that carries the Atlas, but he just said because he literally carries the defense. They think he's that good, and he's the youngest of those guys.
Well, how good do they think he can be?
Good
Julius
release
Peppers.
now, Zach.
Wow. Did not hesitate to compare him to Julius Peppers.
Come on,
that
Coach
man
Joe.
right there, Coach Davis.
That's quite a comparison, considering Peppers is maybe the most talented pass rusher in the NFL. Now a member of the Chicago Bears, former Carolina Panther. Harrelson fair catching. They're going to fair catch most of the punts, if not all the punts today. That was a 49-yard boot. White with a 7-0 lead late in the first quarter in the North Carolina spring game. Back in a moment. Back in North Carolina, the Tar Heels will open the season on ABC in the Chick-fil-A kickoff game on September 4th against LSU. And speaking of the SEC, next Saturday afternoon, we deliver more college football spring practices from the SEC. Auburn at 2 Eastern on ESPNU. Then on ESPN at 3, Heisman Trophy winner Mark Ingram and Alabama. College football spring practice on ESPN next Saturday. Here is ESPNU Insider's top 5 recruiting classes. You see both schools in there. 3 of the top 5 SEC schools with Florida #1, as that pass is incomplete.
See a little frustration right there on T.J. Yates' part, holding his hands up. And I mean, that's a pass that you have to throw a guy open. I mean, he's right there. He's sitting down. You got to get on the same page, and he's wide open. You don't have to throw the fastball. Just let it out there. You got to see that there's no defenders within the area. Make a catchable pass to the guy.
And he just won a 4. Mark and Chris, I'm curious your guys' take on the SEC with AT&T, life after Tim Tebow at Florida. And Chris, you and I saw Auburn in the game that Gene Chizik said they won 3 times against Northwestern in the Outback Bowl. How about Auburn? They've got Cameron Newton, a great junior college player. Can Alabama repeat? What's Florida going to do without Tebow?
I think Florida's going to be a lot better than people think. I think John Brantley's pocket passing quarterback. The way that Urban Meyer's built that program, recruited so well in the state of Florida and nationally, I don't think Florida's going to miss that much of a beat. Yes, they're going to miss one of the greatest football quarterbacks in our generation, but I think with the supporting cast that they've got at Florida, they're going to be just fine.
Well, Florida's got the stormtrooper theory going on. Those guys in the white helmets in Star Wars, 500 go down and 500 replace them that look exactly like them. So they got that going for them. I like what Gene Chizik's doing down at Auburn. I think with Gus Malzahn, offensively, they have it going. Cam Newton, highly recruited JUCO kid. To me, is a talented kid. Can he make the transition from JUCO to the SEC? I think he can. Defensively is where Auburn needs to improve.
Drawn picked up the first down at the 35. Guys, to me, maybe the surprise team, Arkansas. You've got Ryan Mallett, a legitimate Heisman Trophy candidate, right?
He's a stud. He's 6'7", 250 pounds, can move, lost a little weight, had a tremendous season last year. I only look for him to get better and better in his second season playing under Bobby Petrino.
Well, you could say what you want about Bobby Petrino. I mean, Bobby's had his issues and whatever. I know one thing. That guy can coach football.
Yeah.
And he wins wherever he goes. And it's just a matter of time before I think that Arkansas gets over that hump now. This is the year because you have a legitimate Heisman Trophy candidate in Ryan Mallett.
Good play there by T.J. Yates, finding Todd Harrelson for a first down. But it was the other quarterback, Bryn Renner, who was the star of the first quarter for the white team, which has a 7-0 lead here at the North Carolina spring game. Here we go. Here we go. Welcome back to Chapel Hill, the North Carolina spring game. We are less than 5 months away from the start of the fall portion of the college football season, and North Carolina will kick things off on ABC in the Chick-fil-A kickoff game against LSU, 8 Eastern, as T.J. Yates hands it off. Not much running room there for Drawn. Backed up after maybe a gain of 1. And there's always a host of great games on ESPN, ABC in September, including a Boise State, Virginia Tech, that Monday night game, September 6th. LSU, North Carolina to kick things off. We had a chance to watch some of LSU's spring game, and some quarterback problems there.
And I think that's going to be their issue all season long, as it has been. And their offensive coordinator, Gary Croton, I think they've got to find ways to score points, because last year that offense was stagnant. They were stale. They couldn't score points, and they didn't get good quarterback play. And I think if they don't correct that, Chris, they're going to have major problems this season.
Well, I mean, I remember playing against LSU back in 1987, and I watched them over the years because it was such a great experience to play down in Baton Rouge. The one thing they always were physical. I mean, they're always a physical football team. And the only way, I think, for them to get back is you got to be able to run the football. But in today's day and age, if you're going to run kind of a little bit of a basic offense like we're seeing here today, you've got to be able to throw to run. It's not run to throw. I believe you got to throw to run, and that's what LSU needs to establish to be able to get back offensively where they need to compete.
Yates sacked there by Michael McAdoo. They're getting all kinds of pressure on Yates. Given potential problems at the quarterback position for LSU, that game is going to have a lot of LSU fans at it. It's at the Georgia Dome in Atlanta. Is that a winnable game for North Carolina?
I think it is, because if you look at their defense, they're going to be stout, one of the best in the nation. I think their offense, if they can stay healthy on the offensive line and at the running back and wide receiver position, if they can just stay healthy in that game, I think they're going to have a great opportunity to get it done.
I mean, I actually think that Jordan Jefferson is going to be good. I really do. I think he's going to be a good football player. And you're talking about the matchup. It all depends on this offense. And a guy that looks good to me so far, and the guy that was on his way to 1,000 yards last year, Sean Drone. I mean, to me, he looks solid. He's got a little bit of pop in his step. He worked with the track coach this year, and you can see that translating onto the football field.
Searcy, muffed the punt. Got it back, though, at the 32-yard line.
I saw Mark's boys up there, Boise State, playing Virginia Tech. A lot of people have Boise in their top 5. Dave?
I would say so. With all the guys they have coming back, get your quarterback coming back. You're coming off an undefeated season.
It's not just numbers. Going to FedEx Field, playing Virginia Tech in a virtual home game where there's going to be 85,000 Hokie fans and about 5,000 Boise State fans. I was there a few years ago when they played USC. They played them right down to the wire. Frank Beamer will have his team ready early. That's a game that I do not think Boise is going to have a chance to win. I really think Virginia Tech wins that game. They've got 2 running backs over 1,000 yards. Quarterback Tyrod Taylor coming back. He got better last year as the season went on.
Oh, Tyrod Taylor, he's on my early Heisman watch list. I really think he has. Oh, yeah, I think he has that kind of ability. And he's only getting better and better. Now, it's not taking away anything from Boise State. It's just so hard to gauge where Boise is when you play in the WAC conference. It's just hard to gauge.
And Braden Hansen out there, and he collides with his running back, Elsie. So a loss on the play. Ball came out, too. And you wonder, even if Boise State were to lose that game to Virginia Tech, does that mean that they're not a top 5 team? Here's Chris, Mark, and Joe Shad's top 5. Joe, you've got them number 4. Neither Chris nor Mark has them in the top 5.
You guys can't underestimate that Chris Peterson is 49-4. I mean, that's a ridiculous trend of success. It is sustained success. Boise State is more than a Cinderella story at this point, guys. They are legit. And don't forget, in addition to Virginia Tech, they also have an Oregon State game on their schedule that's very attractive. And I think Kellen Moore, guys, is an even more legitimate Heisman candidate than the aforementioned Charles Pryor.
What do you guys think of that?
I think when Boise State really has to step up and play somebody early, yes, they did beat Oregon last year when Oregon was absolutely awful. They got hot at the end of the season. If you look a few years ago when Boise State travels across country and plays Georgia, they got swatted. So I'm looking at the same situation that they are a very good football team, but when they have to step up and play the big boys consistently, can they get it done? I don't think so. That's why I don't have them in my top 5.
I mean, they're the sweetheart, and I get it. And then Chris Peterson is outstanding.
Yes,
I would hire Chris Peterson in a heartbeat. But for me, for them to go to Virginia Tech, I mean, that's going to be a test. If they beat Virginia Tech, then yeah, they're in my top 5. I have North Carolina up there. The only reason I put North Carolina is because of the NFL quality defenders that they have and the brutal schedule that they play. If they get through that schedule, they're easily in the national championship game.
So it's not just because we're here in Chapel Hill while you put them up there. That pass is caught by Ryan Taylor, backup tight end out near the 38.
I'm a front runner. Yeah, why wouldn't I? I had Ohio State at 3 in Mayday, who's on the most wanted list in Columbus. That's him at 2. I got to go back and tell the people, hey, Mayday loves you now.
I'm on the Mayday Buster poster. They got a picture of me with a red circle and the X across it.
One thing I know all three of you agree on, and I'm guessing just about every college football analyst agrees with you, Alabama #1. Right? I mean, is there any way that they're not #1?
Somebody's got to beat them until somebody defeats them, and the talent that they've got coming back, and the way that Nick Saban's recruited, and the way that he coaches, they're going to be ready to play anybody. I don't care how many people they have to bring back on defense or replace on defense or bring back on the other side of the ball, replace on the other side of the ball. You know they're going to be ready and they're going to be well coached.
You know, Nick could coach college football. I mean, he knows how to recruit, and he understands it's all about talent. Because you talk to these coaches, everybody can draw cover 2, cover 3, high-low pass, but the ones that win is the talent.
A lot of talent on the field here, especially on defense for the North Carolina Tar Heels. Midway through the second quarter, the 2010 spring game. Back to Chapel Hill in a moment. Welcome back to Chapel Hill. Great turnout here at Kenan Stadium for the blue-white game. 2010 North Carolina spring game. Tar Heels coming off back-to-back 8-win seasons. As drawn is wrapped up by Gene Robinson, who was a freshman last year.
Number 20,
20-yard line. Coming up tomorrow, ABC has a doubleheader. It's your NBA destination for the Sunday Showcase. A rematch and perhaps a preview of the Eastern Conference Finals. Up first, Cavs and Magic, followed by the Lakers and the Blazers. Portland, like everybody else in the West, does not want to finish 8th and have to play the Lakers in the first round.
I made a very important life decision the other day.
What was that?
I'll tell you here.
Ooh, interception pick through the hands of the intended receiver. And Mywan Jackson was a high school quarterback, a freshman last year. Picks off Braden Hansen. Penalty flag down as well.
Actually, it's a well-thrown ball by Braden Hansen, who's known for his accuracy. The old tip drill, which Mark doesn't get to participate in very often.
I get to watch.
Right there's the ball, and there's a kid that's been probably the most productive wide receiver they've had in camp so far, and that's number 82, Todd Harrelson. Normally, he doesn't drop the balls. He's one of those guys that can sit on that 12-yard dig and snag those, but that one caused the turnover.
If the ball hits your hands as a receiver, you need to catch it.
Oh, dude, it's hit your fingertips, you catch it. If you're a player in North Carolina or the ACC on any of these conferences, that touches a finger. It's your job to catch it.
Offsetting penalties. Now back to this because you had us.
Oh yeah,
got us
that's a
on
tease. We call that
yeah.
a tease in the business.
Yeah, time spent viewing. Go ahead with your life decision that you made the other day.
Well, to me, the greatest athlete I thought of our time was Bo Jackson. Mark May, Bo Jackson, then Mark May. But then I watched LeBron James play, and I seriously think he is just a phenom. I mean, I've never seen anybody like him. There's a shot.
Leonard, good throw, and it's caught. Again, Greg Little. That's a good guy to throw to. That's a 19-yard gain.
He's got some pop on the football.
Yeah, I'm sure there's somebody from NC State over here looking at this kid, and what they're noticing is ability to throw on and run. But what I liked right there, he set his feet before he delivered the football. So far we've seen him throw strikes on the run and also rolling out and having the athletic ability to get his feet set to deliver on time to Greg.
And so far, he's been extremely accurate doing that. Where he places that football, it's a catchable football, and it's usually right in the wide receiver's chest.
7 of 9 passing so far. And first down and goal. Here's Elsie finding a hole and down to about the 2-yard line.
I want to get your guys' opinion. I maintain this. I made this statement publicly. I think that LeBron James could line up on any NFL team, give him a training camp, and he'd be a starting wide receiver within 3 weeks.
That one I don't know, but I just know this.
I know.
Why
don't you know?
Well, think about all the stuff you have to learn. You think he's going to just be able to figure out how to be an NFL wide receiver? I mean, it's not that easy, right?
Okay, run 7 yards and plant and cut to the inside, and we're going to throw it high. So jump, LeBron. Yes.
Do you agree with me?
He's a tremendous athlete. He can out-jump any defensive back with his long arms.
He can outrun
big
any
frame.
defensive back. I mean, there's cover 2, there's cover 3, and there's man. If it's man and they try to pressure, run him over.
Here's Elzy diving and scoring. Touchdown. Anthony Elzy entering his senior year from Warren, Ohio. And White up 2 scores.
It's another nice drive put together by quarterback Bryn Renner. Throwing the football, the offensive line doing a great job running here. The offensive line gets a nice push. Terrific job by the back going over the top, but protecting the football as he does.
And a lot of times that ball is vulnerable when guys go up in the air. He's a Buckeye. He gets it.
Actually, he's a Tar Heel. He signed to North Carolina.
Oh, that's
he's
right.
from Ohio. Okay. Back in a moment. 14-0 White on top. Welcome back to Chapel Hill. A beautiful Saturday as spring practice wraps up with the annual spring game for North Carolina, coming off back-to-back 8-win seasons, but 2 straight losses in the Meineke Car Care Bowl. They have got one of the toughest schedules in college football in the fall, starting on ABC against LSU. Also became in Rutgers and East Carolina, and then, of course, an always difficult ACC schedule. Here's Jay Boyd on the return, and there's no tackling on kick returns. How about this schedule, guys? Does anybody have a tougher one?
I don't think so. I think on paper at the beginning of the season, when you look at that schedule, that's like murderer's row. You walk through that schedule. If you can get by LSU, one of the top teams in the SEC, then you get Georgia Tech. Luckily, you get them at home. Then you get Rutgers, another bowl team. East Carolina, another bowl team. Clemson, another bowl team. Virginia, they're going to be improved this year, new head coaching there. Then you get Miami, William & Mary, they're no one to sleep on. Florida State, Virginia Tech. That's a tough schedule.
People don't know that Butch Davis is 0-3 against crosstown rival North Carolina State. And Coach Cutcliffe has it going over at Duke. You never know what they're going to do. But that's why we made the point that if they run through this ACC schedule and they finish undefeated, there's no debate. With this schedule, they're in a national championship game.
Possibly even with 1 loss.
Yes. I mean, if you put all the other teams with 1 loss, I mean, look at Ohio State's schedule, for example. Ohio State, they have Miami. That's it. If they get by Miami, which that would be a nice test for Miami, we'll find out how good the Hurricanes are. Then we'll find out how good Ohio State is. Now, it's up in Columbus. They should have the edge. But other than that, you have Wisconsin, and you got Penn State.
Don't sleep on Wisconsin.
No, I think Wisconsin's a top 10 football team. I know that people think that's insane. You're giving me the fisheye over here, Mayday.
I didn't say.
You're giving me the fisheye.
Brett Bielema, I like what he's done. Last year they had 10 victories, a terrific season.
Yates with a completion on the last play, and here's Drawn on the run. Comes up short of the first down. Quentin Copels, a player to watch in the fall for North Carolina, makes the stop. Here's that Ohio State schedule you're talking about. I mean, other than Miami and Florida, you got back teams in non-conference.
That one right there, Penn State. And they got Penn State at home, which they usually have pretty good success.
You're discounting Iowa? I beat them with a freshman quarterback in the shoe last year.
Ohio State has Iowa's number. Iowa's going to be good, and you got Ricky Stanzi coming back, the receiving corps. They're going to get the return of Jewel Hampton. The problem is you have Claiborne. You have Claiborne back on defense, but they're losing 3 pretty good linebackers.
I just want to get this straight. So basically you're saying that after Miami, it's a fairly soft schedule against Big Ten opponents.
Well, I think when you look at it, I mean, what you tell me about the Big. I'm not a Big. I'm just as likely as you to say the Big Ten has been down, but I think Wisconsin, the guy that's going to be, we talk about John Clay at Wisconsin, Scott Tolzien is a player, and he's going to only improve from his first year to the second year. You have Al Toon up there as a player.
Nick Toon.
Yeah, Nick Toon, thank you very much. And, of course, you have John Clay. I mean, you have all 3 elements of your offense in place.
I just want to know where Brett Bielema gets these running backs. He gets these offensive guards that can carry the football is basically what he's putting in the back.
High snap, and Yates does a good job to corral, and the throw is there, but incomplete as Christian Wilson could not hang on to it.
Number 33, Christian Wilson, incomplete.
Well, thrown ball right there.
Got to catch it.
Well, that's the opportunity. If you're a backup or a young player, this is your Super Bowl. This is your national championship. You want to play, show the coaches that you can make those plays in front of 20,000 people.
Back to the Big Ten, guys. It was a bounce-back year for the Big Ten, winning 2 BCS bowl games. Iowa and Ohio State both coming up with wins in BCS games. And again, a lot of people back on both squads as that pass was high. Yates trying to hit Heisman. I wouldn't sleep on Wisconsin and Iowa.
Well, not only that, I really look at Ohio State now. So impressed the way Terrell Pryor played in the Rose Bowl, the way he threw the football. He had confidence the way he threw the football, and that was the best that I think that I've watched him play in his entire career. If he can carry that momentum over to next season, now you're looking at Ohio State, that should be a dominant offensive football team.
Well, you know, the biggest thing that's going to help Terrell Pryor, much like North Carolina last year, he was playing with first-year wide receivers. Now you're going to see improvement from DeVere Posey, Deron Carter, Dane Sossenbacher. When you have 3 guys that have that experience and are used to the timing of Terrell Pryor, add into the mix Boom Herron and Brandon Sane, plus a returning offensive line, they're built to run the Big Ten.
Quickly, Michigan. Any chance of being a contender in the Big Ten next year?
7-5.
I think they're lucky if they're 6-6.
Wow.
I mean, they have quarterback issues. They don't know if they're going to have a quarterback or Forcier or is Robinson Key going to take him over. I was just reading the other day, and Rich Rod said Robinson's making a move. So if you don't have that position settled, I don't know if you can make a run. And plus, very unlike Michigan over the years, defensively, they've struggled and struggled and struggled on that side of the football.
Injured North Carolina player on the white team. Back in a moment to Chapel Hill. The DirecTV drive to the national championship bus was on campus the last couple days. ESPN, the home of the BCS championship. And this year's game will be played January 10th at University of Phoenix Stadium in Glendale, as Dwight Jones makes the catch at the 40-yard line, a gain of 10.
Well, I've seen him make every throw. He's on the run, 3-step drop, understanding coverages, understanding that was the backside of cover 3, meaning the safety was rolled up to the front side. Automatically, he turns his head on a 3-step slant the other way, away from the safety that's coming up into the box, and delivers the ball with the velocity that you need.
And I think every snap he's gaining more and more confidence. You look at the way he's handling himself and carrying himself. He's getting the throws exactly where they need to be. That's very impressive.
Well, they come back with a slant. Go, Sluggo, Marco.
And the pass intercepted inside the 20-yard line. Picked off by Brian Gupton, who's going to be a junior next season from Nashville, Tennessee.
This is called the Sluggo. Watch a wide receiver. He's going to come out, fake the slant because they just hit the slant. That worked on the corner. But when you have a safety back there covering your back, like you had right there from Gupton, good play and recovery saying, I got your back, corner. I'll always have your back. Just remember that.
That was a solid job by Brian Gupton, the safety coming over the top. But I still like the quarterback. I still like Renner. And that one, he forced it a little bit. He should have been a little more patient on that. But it was a good pump fake. Just didn't have it. He didn't read the safety. The safety didn't bite on the play.
Well, he's got to throw that ball. That's where you make that back shoulder throw. When you see the safety, you got to throw the ball on the back side of the shoulder because he had the corner deep, and it would allow the wide receiver to slow down a little bit to come to the back shoulder. The safety made a great job in adjustment, reading the quarterback's eyes and making a play.
And Joe Shad has more on Renner.
Guys, 2 things that are obvious about Renner. One is down here on the sidelines, he's very, very popular with his teammates. They love the energy, the enthusiasm, the youthful exuberance that he brings to the game. But, you know, the players talk about him as raw and obviously has little experience. The coaches yesterday compared him to a Brett Favre type of talent where he has a playmaking mentality, a high-risk mentality. But they want to make sure, guys, that as he develops, he takes the routine plays and doesn't always try to force it like he did on that interception.
Don't throw late over the middle in the NFC Championship game. Is that basically what he's trying to say?
That or be able to count to 11 coming off of a timeout.
Or get better protection off your offensive line. That would have helped.
Yates sacked. Now Michael McAdoo. They've got a lot of good pass rushers on this roster. And the coaches feel that McAdoo's had a great spring and that he could challenge Quentin Coples for that position vacated by E.J. Wilson.
And some of those guys that Butch Davis recruited, like Michael McAdoo, 6'7", long arms at the defensive end. Focus on the other side, 6'6". You get guys that have speed to get up the field with those long arms. Then you teach them some technique, and they can become not good, but great pass rushers.
Well, Everett Withers has the luxury of playing 8 and 9 defensive linemen, and that's when you know your defense and your program has arrived, when you can start rolling 8 and 9 guys in and not miss a beat because it's fresh bodies and talking to big pants on the other side.
Good play by Yates there, finding...
not you anymore, but back when you were playing, would you wear 44, 48, 46?
Is that a coat size? Or?
No, that's his waist size.
I was a 43.
And squeezing every inch of that 43 and a quarter.
The molecules in that belt were just screaming to get out.
I'm enjoying talking about Mark May's waist size, but back to the coaching staff for North Carolina. They're intact. First time that North Carolina's actually had everybody back on staff in over a decade. And Withers is a guy that could have gone other places, Tennessee, Florida, some other schools that were interested.
And when we spoke to him, he told us, he said, I'm not out there for the money. Yeah, the money's important, but I feel comfortable here. I'm learning from a great head coach, and Butch Davis spent time in the NFL as I did, and I want to get an opportunity to be around a great defense, and he's put together a great defense. These guys are awesome.
Good play by Yates, getting out of the pocket and finding Zach Pianalto. We haven't talked about him yet, but he is a Mackey Award candidate. This time last year with a foot injury, but could be one of the best tight ends in the country this fall. That was a 51-yard pass play.
Well, this is the experience right here. You're going to watch T.J. Yates feeling the rush, then buying time with his feet to locate receivers, and a good job by Pianalto of not quitting on a route. T.J. Yates keeping his eyes downfield and trusting his guy to get open. You see Pianalto with the play. Hey, I want to go back to Everett Withers a second. I think the guy should get a legitimate shot at being a head coach soon, just like Shoup. I mean, these guys are bright, talented young coordinators, NFL experience, college experience. I'm just wondering if those guys maybe decided to take off or declare for the NFL draft. I mean, does he look for the opportunity to move?
I think he stays. I think because
that's a pessimist in me. I don't know.
What he told us when
that's a realist, though.
Yeah, but when he had the opportunity just to work under Mack Brown and Butch Davis and learn from those guys, and when you talk to these guys, you get the feeling that they're going to interview well. And we spent time with them.
Yeah.
The way that they know exactly what they're doing, the confidence that they have right now, and not only that, but explaining it to us. If they sit down in that interview process, they're going to impress that director. They're going to impress a Chancellor University. So when you look at these guys, they could be the next head coaches in the next generation we're going to see in the next few years.
Here are the numbers from last year. 6th in the country in total defense. Did a great job stopping the run. We talked about their ability to get pressure on the quarterback with Robert Quinn coming up 2nd in the ACC in sacks with 11. He's back. Marvin Austin is back. And you get a sense in talking to these guys yesterday that they're on a mission, not just for Everett Withers, but for themselves, because they feel like they were disrespected some last year by losing a handful of games.
Well, eventually, when you have the talent that they have, and they know the talent they have, they know how good they are. I mean, because they had other people validate that through NFL scouts in the paperwork that they've gotten back. And so you got to say, look, 8-5 isn't good enough, and that's just not the case. I mean, we're too good to be mediocre.
Highsmith on the catch, brought down to the 20.
And they are on a mission. That's why most of those players came back and most coaches stayed, because they believe in one another and they think that they can get to that next level. Now, how far they can go with that schedule, that's another question. Yeah. But they've got the team and they've got the ability, particularly on the defensive side of the ball, that they could be one of the best in the nation on that side of the ball.
And Yates' pass picked off, intercepted by McAdoo, who's been all over the field, and Copels hit Yates' arm. And McAdoo comes down with the ball.
This is a guy they need to step up right here. Is Copels replacing E.J. Wilson. You see Copels come off the end and not getting there, but having the wherewithal not to crush the quarterback, which might be a good decision, but knowing to stick that hand out there and poke it away like a basketball steal. He needs to play, Bill. Yeah. Copel needs to step up.
But those long arms I was talking about.
We saw him yesterday, right?
Got some long arms.
He looks the part, doesn't he?
McAdoo 6'7", Copel 6'6". And we're hearing comparisons to Julius Peppers. He plays at about 6. No, now he's about 6'8", but he was about 6'6", 6'7" here at North Carolina. And Renner back out there. See how he bounces back after his interception on that deep throw the last time he was on the field. Going to hand it off here. And Stephen Hatley out near the 40-yard line. Renner so far 8 of 11, 92 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. The redshirt freshman quarterback going to challenge T.J. Yates for playing time and maybe even the starting position at quarterback in the fall for North Carolina, with a very difficult schedule.
I mean, that's the decision that's made by one man. That's made by Butch Davis. And Butch has got to decide. He said, look, I got a guy that started for 3 years. I've won 16 ball games with him. Do I make the change to a guy that's never played college football?
Well, you got halftime right now.
He gets paid the big money for, though, Dave.
Back to Chapel Hill in a moment. Welcome back to Chapel Hill. The white team on top of the blue team, 14-0 here at halftime in the North Carolina spring game. Back with Chris Spielman, Mark May, and Joe Schad. I'm Dave Pasch, and we talked, guys, going to break about the decision that Butch Davis has to make this fall. How much does he play Renner? Does he start Renner over a veteran in T.J. Yates? And Renner, again, it's hard to gauge because it's a spring game, but he looked better than Yates in that first half.
He definitely did, in my opinion. And I think the bottom line, when you get to the fall, when it really counts, and they line up against LSU, I think you've got to go, the starter has to be the quarterback with the experience. It's got to be Yates. Even though if you bring Renner in, and he told us he was going to play him, but I still think the starter's going to be Yates.
Well, to me, it's all about a process, and you got to understand that he's doing what they expected him to do. He's doing what I expected him to do, but it's against the vanilla defense. They're not hitting him. I mean, he would have been sacked by Robert Quinn 3 or 4 times. Now, I know it was against the walk-on, but he's doing what he's supposed to do. He's hitting wide receivers. He's reading the defenses, and he's accurate. That's the thing you want in a quarterback. The most important attribute for a quarterback, in my mind, is accuracy. When you tie that in with decision-making, that's when you get an all-conference player.
Well, the good thing about Butch Davis and his North Carolina football team, they have the luxury of 2 quarterbacks. At least now he has the confidence that he can go back to have 2 quarterbacks. If you've got to put one in the game because of injury or if a quarterback's playing back, he's got some depth at that position. I think that's key. That's what they were looking for.
Is that a luxury or is that a burden?
I think it's a luxury because if someone gets injured, you've got a backup quarterback that can go and that you've got confidence that can get the job.
Well, the only problem is with that, I think sometimes, you get that locker room split, and Joe Schad reported that, everybody seems to like Bryn Renner. So,
well, it's going to be interesting, and we're going to get a chance to see more of Yates and Renner and see how they bounce back from the first half, in particular Yates, who struggled in that first half. Back in Chapel Hill, a lot of festivities going on during and before the 2010 spring game, a 10K road race, which ended here at the stadium. Also an autograph session. There's T.J. Yates signing autographs. We're told that Chris Spielman did a great job during the cheerleader tryouts before the game, and North Carolina State Honor Guard on hand as well.
Were you a cheerleader at Syracuse? No?
And let's take a look now at our first half stats. We talked about the numbers that Renner put up. 8 of 11, 92 yards, a touchdown and a pick. There were 5 sacks, and there probably really were about 15.
Yeah, which is normal for a spring game.
Yeah, it is. But I think when you look at this, what the coaches want to take out of this is, can we find a quarterback that won't turn the ball over? You've got T.J. Yates in this game. He's thrown for 2 interceptions. And during the season last year, he had 15 interceptions and just 14 touchdown passes.
Well, and that it's all about decision making. And what stood out to me, obviously, Bryn Renner and what he was able to do. But to me, I like what Sean Drone has done. Or Sean Drone, he pronounces it both ways. But he looks like he's back. And he's an important part. If that offensive line gets physical, like they're going to get physical, he's a good time runner that needs to have success for this team to be successful. He looked good to me.
Well, who do you guys think going into the fall will be the team to beat in the ACC? Is it Georgia Tech, or did they lose too much? Do you go with Virginia Tech? Or is it North Carolina?
I always go with Virginia Tech.
I always go with
because
Virginia
it's Frank Beamer and Virginia Tech. They've got 2 dynamic running backs that rush for over 1,000 yards, and both are freshman ACC players of the year. You've got Tyrod Taylor at quarterback and Bud Foster. I don't care if he loses 11 starters on defense. Every year they seem to find a way to put players out there that can compete.
Well, North Carolina, a lot of people think will be in contention for the ACC championship. They've got a crazy schedule, and it starts on ABC against LSU September 4th. More of the North Carolina spring game when we come back to Chapel Hill. It's okay. You can be with us. All right. Back in Chapel Hill, the North Carolina spring game. Dave Pasch, Mark May, Chris Spielman, and Butch Davis, the head coach of the Tar Heels, joins us now. Coach, what did you think of the play of Renner and Yates in the first half?
Yeah, well, I thought that Bryn, his first 2 possessions, was really sharp. He got off to a good start, made some good decisions with the football, made some good throws, and ultimately led us to 2 scores. I thought in the 3rd possession, I thought he kind of stared the receiver down and gave the safety an opportunity to kind of get off the hash and make a good play. I thought TJ got off to a slow start. I thought that he missed some open receivers early on some drives. I thought he did settle down, started to move in the pocket, made some plays, hit Zach Penalto down there, and certainly looked like we were going to go in for a touchdown to close it to 14-7 and turn the ball over.
Coach, running back Sean Drone coming off the injury, he's looked very impressive in this first half.
Well, Sean's somebody that we really missed last year. I mean, he was clearly our #1 running back last year. He's a guy that's got an opportunity to be a 1,000-yard rusher. He's a kid that he's got a lot of versatility. He catches the ball well out of the backfield. I think he's a little bit rusty. Obviously, we hadn't had a tremendous amount of contact throughout spring and stuff, but I think that he's certainly going to be ready to go at the start of the season.
Coach, out of those 2 quarterbacks, I know they both have a presence, but which guy would you say would have that it factor right now?
Well, I mean, I think both of them do at certain times. TJ in his career has won some extraordinarily impressive football games. Beating Miami, beating Virginia Tech. Those are tough places to win, tough teams to beat. Certainly, Bryn, early in his career, he doesn't have the experience of game, but he's doing a good job, and he's got an awful lot of charisma.
Coach, appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
North Carolina head football coach Butch Davis, his thoughts on the first half. We've got the second half coming up from Kenan Stadium in Chapel Hill when we come back to the 2010 North Carolina spring game. Back in Chapel Hill for the North Carolina spring game at Kenan Stadium. A great turnout here, and you have to wonder, with the struggles for the men's basketball team failing to make the NCAA tournament this year, after winning the national championship last year, are people more excited about football in Chapel Hill, coming off back-to-back 8-win seasons? Butch Davis's 4th campaign here in Chapel Hill in the fall. A great schedule featuring LSU to start on September 4th on ABC in the Chick-fil-A kickoff game. North Carolina will also play at Rutgers, East Carolina at home, and of course an always very difficult ACC schedule. Trace Jones to kick off for the white team, which is a 14-0 lead.
Good kick, Trace. Good kick.
Charles Brown on the return.
There we go. Let's go. Blues up.
Stop play. Spot each return at the 30-yard line. Well, you guys heard Butch Davis at halftime talk about Yates, how he did calm down, but got off to a slow start. And as Butch told us yesterday, he's going to be evaluating every snap, every rep, not just the spring game, but go back and look at everything from spring practice when it comes to determining who's going to play and how much they're going to play quarterback in the fall.
Well, I just interesting to see when you're competing against a guy that's on your team, how do you respond to his success? And TJ started out a little slow, but he came back. Now I want to see how he responds in the second half.
Last year at 14 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. 2 years ago was very efficient and throws a strike that time, caught by Highsmith near the first down marker at the 40-yard line. Here are his numbers from the past 2 years. We talked about being much more efficient in 2008. He also had some injury problems that season. Struggled last year, had some killer interceptions against Florida State. They blew an 18-point lead, lost that game. You talked about the loss to NC State. Butch Davis has not beaten NC State yet. Plus, they haven't beaten Virginia since 2005. Lost here at home to the Cavaliers. And it's not just the interception. I mean, at some point, you've got to make plays right if you're going to win an ACC championship at that position.
Well, I think the problem was last year, the injuries that they sustained. Wide receiver, offensive line, running back. And when you're a quarterback and you walk into the huddle and you look at those 5 offensive linemen and 3 of them are true freshmen, that doesn't elude a lot of confidence. Then you look at your wide receivers and they're freshmen. It says to me, if you're an upperclassman, that, I'm going to have to carry the load.
Yeah, and TJ also takes responsibility for his performance. John Shoup said something interesting yesterday to me anyway. He said where TJ can make big plays, what he has to become more efficient at is making plays like that, the average play. And there can be good incomplete passes. There could be good checkdowns for a 2-yard gain as opposed to forcing one down the field for a 25-yard interception return. And he's going to get better, and he's a confident kid. And the thing I like about him, and I did the Meineke Car Care Bowl with T.J. Yates, he's a mentally tough kid. And he does not back down from challenges. And any competitor worth his salt is going to compete no matter what and is going to rise to the challenge. And they got a challenge right now down here at quarterback with Bryn Renner.
They lost that bowl game. In fact, lost that game each of the last 2 years. The ACC championship will be in Charlotte this year. As good running play by Purr inside the 30, out of bounds inside the 25. Gain of 29 for Hunter Purr. Showed off the speed. He's on the track team.
They got a lot of guys on the track team here, a lot of guys with track speed. That's one thing about Coach Davis that he learned from Jimmy Johnson a long time ago. Speed kills. Recruit speed first, and then we'll get great athletes. Forget about getting the big 300-pound guys. We'll get guys with speed that can make plays on both sides of the ball.
How much pressure do you think is on Butch Davis this year? Again, a back-to-back 8-win season, something that they have not had a lot of at North Carolina. But the expectations have been pretty lofty because of his history as Copels comes up with another sack. His history at Miami and with Dave Wanstead in the NFL, and also because of the big-name recruits like Marvin Austin, who's the #1 rated defensive tackle coming out of high school.
Well, I think you want the expectations high, and you want pressure on you. And it's no different than we talk about the quarterback position. Butch Davis is a competitive guy. He's a successful football coach. He's coached at the highest level. And so he understands the expectations, but he wants that. And I think this team is in a position to challenge, not only for the ACC championship, but as we talked about all day, if the offense can get going, they're in position to challenge for a national championship. And I can't emphasize enough, when you have 7, I think 7 or 8 legitimate NFL prospects, you got a shot. And I don't use the word legitimate lightly. I mean, they're legitimate guys.
Well, Chris, you had them #5 in your poll, Mark. I know you didn't have 5. Where about do you think they fit in going into the fall?
I think you have to put them in the top 12, legitimately, because when you look at their schedule and you look at this football team, they haven't been able to figure out how to beat North Carolina State, how to beat Virginia,
Yeah,
teams
that's
that
a
they're
great
favored
point.
that they need to get over the hump and beat those type of teams. And they've got to win more than just 8 games a year to get it done, because they haven't done that yet. They got to get to that 9-10 game plateau where they get that confidence, where they think they're playing for a championship, not just a bowl game.
Well, again, you and I, one of the luxuries we have is we get to meet these kids. And sitting in a meeting with them, I mean, they want that expectation level at the highest it can be. I asked them, what's the goal? And I was excited to hear their goal is not to just win the ACC championship. Their goal is to win the national championship. Why play if you're not going to try to win a national championship?
And not only that, when we asked the players about the LSU game, they said they wanted this game. They begged for this game. They said no disrespect to Citadels and teams like that. They wanted to be on the big stage, and they wanted to play teams like the Gators, LSU, SEC teams.
Well, they're getting their shot.
Here's 4th down and 3. Let's see what Yates does when he has to make a play. Good throw there, but excellent defense by Juan Jackson, who has an interception already today, breaking up that pass intended for Highsmith.
Mywan Jackson played 6 games as a true freshman last year, a lot of it on special teams. Now he's getting an opportunity that he wants to fight for that nickel-back slot. And so far, athletically, he looks like that he can fit the bill. You look at their defensive backs, they don't have any 6'2 guys out there, 200 guys. All their defensive cornerbacks are all 5'9", 5'10". Great speed, great athletes that can make plays.
When you're talking about making plays, that's a play I think that Highsmith has to make. Now, if we're going to get nitpicky here, which, you know, guys are perfectionists. That's where T.J. Yates has to put that ball on the outside a little bit. You saw where the defender was on the inside and put it up a little bit so big, tall Eric Highsmith can go up and get it. But it was a nice throw, nice play. The ball's in his hands. You got to have strong hands as a wide receiver. I played with a guy, and you guys know him well, is Chris Carter. Maybe the strongest hands I've ever seen on a wide receiver.
All he does is
catch touchdowns.
Renner is back out there. Meanwhile, T.J. Yates is standing by with Joe Shad. And we'll get to that in a minute. Here's Renner on the rollout. And gets sacked.
that was more of a touch there.
Ewell with the sack. And that's all that you can do in the spring game. The quarterbacks are not live, so to speak.
Yeah, but did you see that touch? That was more of a big-time shove.
Yes.
Let him know that I'm tired of chasing you around here.
It does get frustrating, especially when there's a slow whistle. Who's trying to help him?
All right, Yates is now standing by with Joe Shad, so let's send it down to Joe.
TJ, tell me about how you're playing so far today.
I think I'm playing pretty good. You know, the team as a whole is, you know, we're doing good things, running the ball well. But you know, I definitely keep the chains moving, hit my check downs to kind of, you know, get in better situations instead of taking sacks.
You've got the experience. Young Bryn Renner doesn't have much. How would you describe the quarterback situation from your perspective?
You know, it's going good. Bryn's young. He's learning a lot. He's learning a lot on the move, so he's got a lot of stuff going on. But you know, he's handling it very well. You know, he's a guy that everybody knows has a lot of ability and can make something out of nothing. But you know, he's got to get better on just, you know, the core things of the offense.
TJ, 2 years ago, you had a very strong season. What are some of the things you'd like to try to do to get back to that this year?
You know, 2 seasons ago, we were hitting a lot of big plays. You know, we had a lot of big plays in the passing game, a lot of play action stuff. So we got to get back to that. We got to get a run game going so we can get that big time pass game going. Oh, I think he just threw a pick. Okay, I'm not going in. Sorry. Quick change. But yeah, we just got to, you know, get the offense going as a whole and just be out there more, make more plays, and have more plays as an offense.
Thanks very much.
No problem. Thanks.
You know, guys, one thing is, thanks, Joe. Sometimes, you know, the fans don't see, and we get to see because we meet with these kids. You could tell yesterday how much Yates' teammates like him. And then when you have a guy like Renner coming in who's younger, who maybe doesn't have that relationship with some of the veterans, how do you think that impacts the rest of the guys on the team when there is a, quote, quarterback controversy? We're not saying there's one yet here in North Carolina, but there could be in the fall.
Well, the Washington Redskins, I was involved in a lot of quarterback controversies where some guys on the team would like one quarterback, the other guys would like another quarterback. Bottom line is you've got to get together as a team, and you've got to play as a team and let the coaches make those decisions. You go out and you do your job and not worry about it. And whoever's out there taking those snaps from center, you're going to support them as a team.
Yeah, I despised quarterbacks. I don't like any of them.
So you didn't care who it was?
No, just produce when you get your run out there. That's all I cared about. I don't care who was out there. I mean, you talk about quarterbacks. You had Bob Gagliano, Rodney Peete, Andre Ware, Eric Kramer, Rusty Hilger, Chuck Long, Eric Hipple. I mean, the list goes on and on.
I had a bunch in my career. Joe Theismann, Mark Rippon, Doug Williams, Dan Humphries.
You're going to compare Joe Theismann with Bob Gagliano?
Oh, we did go to Super Bowls.
Exactly. Wait, Eric Kramer take us to the NFC Championship.
There you go.
I don't know if you remember that game.
I remember Kramer.
The Redskins, of course, now have Donovan McNabb. Amazing that the Eagles traded within the division as that pass is thrown by Braden Hansen, who is playing for both teams. It's caught by Jay Boyd. ABC is your NBA destination for the Sunday Showcase. First at 1 Eastern tomorrow, it's Orlando and Cleveland, followed by Kobe Bryant and the Lakers taking on Portland. Coverage starts 12:30 Eastern tomorrow with GMC Sierra NBA Countdown. And then a week from today, the NBA playoffs begin on ESPN and ABC.
Did Dwight Howard shoot foul shots yet, Dave? I mean, how's that not possible to shoot foul shots?
Well, he's not the first big guy who struggled to shoot free throws.
I really don't.
Shaq's an excellent foul shooter. He's about 35%.
Howard's gotten better, though. Pass caught by Nelson Hurst, backup tight end.
You ever notice that it's always the big guys? It's always the centers that can't shoot foul shots.
Well, bigger hands, harder to grip the ball. Dirk Nowitzki's a great free throw shooter. Who knows? You know, Gasol's a good free throw shooter, so it's not just.
I just don't understand. I think NBA players are the greatest athletes in the world. I can't understand how a guy can shoot 50% from the foul line. It just baffles my mind.
It's been happening for years. It's not a new revelation. So.
It's ridiculous. Joke.
Here's 4th down and 1. And great play in the backfield. We again see the speed of Zach Brown taking down Hunter Furr. 2 track guys colliding and Brown winning that battle. Timeout late here in the 3rd quarter of the North Carolina spring game. White team on top, 14-zip. Welcome back to Chapel Hill, North Carolina, wrapping up spring practice. And then, hey, we're just 5 months away. ESPN and ABC college football. And the first ABC Saturday night game will be the Chick-fil-A kickoff game between these Tar Heels and LSU.
I can't wait. That seems like a lifetime.
Maybe they should have spring games where, like, North Carolina plays like Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
You know, 2 different conferences just for a spring game.
Ramsey on the dump off by Hansen.
It's interesting you bring that up. Joe Shad and I got on the DirecTV drive to the national championship bus today. Went over and watched North Carolina State scrimmage this morning. Spent some time with Tom O'Brien, Coach Archer, my good friend John Tenuta is now coaching linebackers. I brought this very point out about, hey coach, I mean, do you ever think about spring game? Because everybody's so worried about getting guys hurt. Why doesn't like Ohio State go play Bowling Green or North Carolina State go play Duke because they don't play each other for 5 years? Why don't you do that? I think that would get some interest going and it'd be a heck of a fundraiser, I would think, if you want to make money. There's Dana Bible, offensive coordinator, battling cancer. He's a warrior. I'll give that to him, man. We were talking a little bit about everything today. Life in football.
Well, NC State with Russell Wilson at the quarterback position, we think, this fall.
The kid I watched today, the Glennon kid, he's nice now.
Mike Glennon, Sean's brother.
Yeah, he is something. I think Mike has got a future, a big-time future. Tom O'Brien was telling me, oh, Chris, he's a young Matt Ryan. You know, that's lofty praise.
Here's Hansen. And he picks up the first down to the 13-yard line. Let's take a look at the NC State schedule. And got a couple ESPN games on there that we know of now, including Cincinnati on September 16th, the post-Brian Kelly era. Butch Jones taking over there at Cincinnati.
That's not an easy schedule. They're young. They're young.
As a head coach, I'd rather face that schedule than the Carolina schedule.
Speaking of Brian Kelly, guys, let's talk Notre Dame. They're losing, at least you would think, 2 first-round picks with the Tate and Clausen. Though some aren't sure whether Clausen will go in the first round or early second. But can Kelly turn it around at Notre Dame?
I think he can, and I think he will. And I think right now the biggest concern there is Dane Chris, the quarterback, coming off a knee surgery. He had ACL surgery a few months ago. He's not 100%, and to run Brian Kelly's offense, you've got to be mobile at the quarterback position. Right now, after the first meeting with the media after their practices in the spring, Brian Kelly said, we stink. We're terrible. Yeah. And he could have been using that to motivate his team, but here's a team that's got to replace 4 out of 5 offensive line.
He also said he was staying at Cincinnati, so you can't always believe what you hear. That pass is dropped by Ramsey. Chris, what do you think?
I think Notre Dame made the best hire possible. I know one thing. He won at Grand Valley. He won at Central Michigan. He won at Cincinnati. And he's going to win at Notre Dame. And the guy is a tireless worker. He understands recruiting. He's got a strong recruiting hold in Cincinnati, which has a great parochial school league down there. I mean, they're competing for state championships. And plus now he's going to take his craft of recruiting. To me, it's all about recruiting. And with the power of the Notre Dame name behind it, he's going to take that national. And I guarantee you, in 2 years, Notre Dame's finally going to be relevant in college football.
And I think the major fan base is going to buy back into Notre Dame, and the alumni and the players' families, because Charlie Weiss is there. He put a padlock on the football offices.
What another great play by Jackson. Mywan Jackson with his second interception. Wow. This guy's a sophomore, and he looks like he's going to be a stud.
Yeah. He's the next generation here at the defensive back position. This was outstanding. Reading the quarterback's eyes, stand with your receiver, but athleticism. You got to have guys that can go and make plays, and right here gets in front of the wide receiver and comes up with a pick. Nice job.
Well, the other thing is they ran that in a red zone practice, and Mywan Jackson missed that coverage yesterday, so that showed me he's coachable. That's what we call 7 cut, when you have the number 3 inside receiver running through the back pylon of the end zone. And Mywan learned his lesson, and he played and jumped the route. That's the benefits of spring football and against practicing against your own team. I know you offensive guys used to hate that because the defense would start running, right? Didn't you guys used to get mad at the defense?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because we just start running the play, disregard anything.
And it's not that you guys would cheat because we already ran the play once. But that was a terrific job. That shows me a young player that can adapt and learn and take and accept coaching.
Absolutely. And, you know, with spread offenses, the 5th defensive back is essential to have on a national contender.
You think about it, you look at their secondary, pretty good already with Kendrick Burney coming back. He's a Thorpe candidate. Safety Deontay Williams thought about going pro. He told us yesterday they gave him a 3rd-round grade, so he was going to be an early pick. And we've seen some of these other guys in the secondary, like Brown, make some plays, and also Mywan Jackson with those 2 picks.
I mean, the one thing they have, and I was just, again, over at North Carolina State today, than watching North Carolina. I mean, North Carolina State has some good players, but what they have is depth. I mean, we talked about it, how vital it is to be a good defense, to roll 8 and 9 guys on your defensive line. All the great teams do it, and that's what they have. That's what they've built here.
And big guys here. You're saying the North Carolina State guys, they didn't have those big 6'7" defensive ends.
No, not that I saw.
Renner showing off his arm. What a great throw, caught inside the 20-yard line by Dwight Jones.
I'd say it's a good throw, not a great throw. I would say when they get into meetings, put a little bit more into the ball because the receiver had to come back and slow down for this football. If he puts this on the money, it's 6.
Yeah.
But it's a nice job of getting the ball where it has to be. But if he puts it in stride, it's 6.
Right there, you saw the little slowdown, which allowed the defensive back to recover. Right there's a slowdown.
Yep.
It's a good job by the defensive back. See him bring that left arm in there to try to swipe that football out of there.
Josh Hunter.
Yeah, Josh. Good job to get beat, but don't quit on the play. But you're right, Mark. If he throws that one in stride, they're dancing in the end zone.
That's the end of the third quarter. And the White has a 14-0 lead. Back in a moment. Welcome back to Chapel Hill. Final quarter of the 2010 spring game. And North Carolina coach Butch Davis is wired for sound today.
All we need now is just a grease pig contest. We got about everything else you can do. Get up in there, run. See it, Anthony? Good job, good job, good job. Come on, Dwight. You got to win on that one, Dwight. Let's go. Hey, guys, just stay composed. Have fun out there, in and out of the huddle, and be sharp. Nice job. Nice job.
Well, Butch Davis has been successful just about everywhere he's been. Longtime assistant to Jimmy Johnson, turned around the Miami football program. Hey, even led the Cleveland Browns to the playoffs one year. And now in his 4th season at North Carolina, Stephen Hatley is brought down after a minimal pickup. 4-8 his first year, and then back-to-back 8-win seasons. 2 straight bowl games. First time that's happened in more than a decade here in Chapel Hill.
I think he's done a terrific job here, and he's got him on the right track, obviously. But that first year you can almost throw out because those guys weren't his guys.
Right.
Finally got some of his guys in the following year and playing some of those guys. But I think he's done an outstanding job of changing the culture and the environment here to not just North Carolina, the football school. Now they're starting to talk about, or basketball school, now they're talking about football a lot more here.
Well, just evidence of the crowd that showed up today.
Yeah, great turnout here. Of course, a disappointing season for the men's basketball team, failing to make the NCAA tournament. Good run in the NIT. They've also made some improvements to the facilities here at Football Center, and are also going to be doing some more work on the stadium. And of course, people here in North Carolina, not just because of the Tar Heel men's basketball team struggling, are excited about football, but they didn't want to watch the NCAA tournament because of Duke's run. It was bad enough that their team didn't get in, but the fact that Duke then went the distance and won the national title.
They have women's soccer, right? It's usually pretty good, and the men's lacrosse team is outstanding here at North Carolina.
Number 2 in the country.
Baseball team's pretty good.
Polojicek gets the first down inside the 10. Guys, we were talking earlier about Brian Kelly losing probably 2 first-round draft picks. Bolton Tate, Jimmy Clausen. The draft is less than 2 weeks away. It starts on Thursday night on ESPN, a week from Thursday. If you guys are picking, where do you go with Jimmy Clausen? Is he a top 10 pick, or late first round, or second round?
Late first round for me. I look at under Charlie Weiss. He's been there 3 years under Charlie Weiss. Where's the upside to Jimmy Clausen? Is this as good as he gets? But I think he can be a competent NFL quarterback, but I don't think he's a top 10 or top 15 pick. But if you look at the NFL as a whole, it's a quarterback-poor league. After about 10 or 12 guys, you're searching to find those guys and quality backups.
Here's Mel Kiper's top 5. I know both you guys love Sam Bradford.
Here's my deal with Sam Bradford. I think he's the best quarterback come out the last 10 years. If I need a quarterback, if I'm Buffalo, if I'm Cleveland, what I do is I package a pick, try to get up the Rams and get Sam Bradford. I understand you're going to give up a lot, and if you're Cleveland, for example, you need a lot of help and you need a lot of players. But until, in the NFL, more so than even college football, until you have that quarterback position solidified, I don't think you have a chance. I mean, the Ravens did it a few years ago with Trent Dilfer, the quarterback, and Trent was a good guy, but not a great quarterback. If you have a chance to get this kid, I am telling you, I think he's an all-pro for years to come in the National Football League. his accuracy, his decision-making, and he is a good athlete. People don't give him credit. Mark and I were talking about this. People don't give him credit what type of athlete Sam Bradford is. I do anything in the world within reason. I mean, I'd give up my 1 this year or 2 this year. I'd give up my 1 next year.
Illegal substitution
Switch
by
with
the
the
offense.
Rams
The penalty
to take
declined.
Sam Bradford.
Illegal substitution declined.
I'm a little bit different because I'm from the Joe Gibbs type of building a football team and Bobby Beathard, where you build from the inside out. You build your offensive line first. Then you get those cornerbacks. Then you get those rush ends. Because going to the Super Bowls we went to with different quarterbacks, we could just plug in anybody that was a capable quarterback and get the job done because our offense was predicated on the run and our defense was predicated on stopping the run and getting to the quarterback.
Well, Jake Delhomme, great career, had his, threw a kabillion interceptions last year. He's a starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. Offensive lineman you can fix through free agency. You can get that stuff fixed. I think with the quarterback position nowadays, they're so hard to find. I mean, we would agree that the quarterback playing in the National Football League isn't outstanding. Right. It's mediocre.
It is.
And that's why guys like Brett Favre at 40 years old come out and play.
Renner's pass incomplete. So you think that Sam Bradford's better than Phillip Rivers, better than Eli Manning?
Coming out, yeah, I do. I absolutely do.
What about going with the defensive tackle? You've got McCoy and you've got Sue. You pass those guys up because a lot of people think those guys are the sure thing, and you never know with a quarterback.
I'm going to get $50 million at defensive tackle. Number 1 pick or roll.
Jones for a field goal 23-yard try, and he puts it through.
I give it to an offensive tackle.
Well, of course you would. You were one.
No, but you're right. In this draft, if I have the number 1 pick, no doubt I'm taking Bradford.
Next Saturday afternoon, ESPN and ESPNU deliver college football spring practices, first at 2 Eastern on ESPNU. We take a look at Auburn and Gene Chizik. They get ready for a grueling SEC schedule. Then at 3 Eastern on ESPN, a look at the defending BCS champions, the Alabama Crimson Tide, led by Heisman Trophy winner Mark Ingram. And most everybody picking Alabama number 1 preseason, and a lot of people have Ingram number 1 on their Heisman board entering the summer.
I think you're going to see a lot of Trent Richardson at Alabama. I think they're going to keep Mark Ingram fresh. He was outstanding last year, just under 1,700 yards rushing. He won the Heisman last year, but when you go back to that championship game and you watch Trent Richardson through the year, how he matured and got better as a running back, he rushed for $109 in the championship game.
Well, that's the trend in football. We see it in the NFL. Well, you need 2 running backs. One, because you're paying the guys a lot of money that you want to preserve. A guy like Adrian Peterson and how he runs, I mean, he's going to hit the wall eventually, right? And so, to me, college football always copycats the NFL. Now, a little bit different with the spread offenses, but if you have 2 solid running backs, then that just keeps fresh legs coming at you, and you see that in the NFL. But I agree with you. I think when you have players and the guy earns playing time, the competition and success of other players within your own team, yes, they're doing good for the team, but that makes you want to go out and show them what you have. And that even for the Heisman Trophy winner, Mark Ingram.
Obviously, as we look at Joshua Mackey on the kick return, and a good return, but again, they'll spot it at the 30, and it's so hard for guys to even get in the mix after winning it. Although we saw Leinart get in the mix, and Tebow and Bradford hurt this year, so it's really hard for him to even have a chance to repeat. But one guy's done it, so it's going to be hard for Ingram to do it. But then maybe some guys under the radar, like a Noel Devine at West Virginia,
a guy I like
Jake Locker at Washington.
Guy I like is from Pitt.
Deion Lewis.
I think Deion Lewis is a special back.
On the gun, ready?
He's very good. He was outstanding last year. Don't forget about your guy at Ohio State, Terrell Pryor. I think he's going to be on the spotlight. He's going to be on the big stage.
Yes, he is. And Terrell certainly has that ability.
What about Case Keenum? 2 straight years of over 5,000 yards, 44 touchdowns at Houston last year. A lot of people think Houston's a top 20 team. No?
I mean, what does that mean the same when you're throwing a ball 70 times a game and these types of offenses with those great numbers that you put up?
I still think Andre Ware will be the last Heisman Trophy winner ever out of Houston.
Well, remember when he was at Houston, they were in the Southwest Conference. They had a much tougher schedule than Houston has now in Conference USA. So Keenum's not going to get the attention that Andre got when he won it.
On the West Coast, you got Matt Barkley. You got Jake Locker.
Yeah, Barkley. Get him going for the Heisman already?
Not already, but I think under this off, they're going to throw the ball a lot.
Speaking of throwing the ball a lot, we expect that here as both teams running 2-minute offense. And Michael McAdoo make another play, hitting the arm of T.J. Yates. That guy has been all over the place on defense for North Carolina's white team today.
Again, competition. I mean, he's in competition for playing time at that defensive end position. Make a play when the play needs to be made. And this is where defensive ends earn their money in 2-minute drills. Jared Allen from the Vikings made a living in 2-minute drill.
Would you stop talking about the Vikings, please? Talking about Favre, Adrian Peterson, now Jared Allen.
We can talk about the Cardinals.
Let's not talk about the Cardinals. Eric Highsmith with a gain of about 5 yards, first down. Well, guys, watching Yates here run this 2-minute drill, what do you think so far?
Moving the chains. Doing a good job so far.
And Yates has another completion. This time to Jay Boyd. Steps out and stops the clock.
You know, when I look at the comparison of the quarterbacks and watching the two quarterbacks today, I think that Bryn Renner has made strides, and I think he's closed the gap. But I'm going into training camp with T.J. Yates as my starting quarterback, even after today's performance.
12 of 20, 107 yards and a pick. Renner, 12 of 16, 2 interceptions, but a touchdown, and he threw for 164 yards.
And don't forget, Yates' pick was a tipped ball in the backfield.
And these quarterbacks have also been under pressure all day, thanks to the great talent North Carolina has on both teams on the defensive line. Drawn with a catch and picks up the first down to the 45-yard line.
I think that's the guy right there. Drawn is the guy that needs to have something happen good to him. If good things happen with Sean, then good things will happen with North Carolina offense.
Yep.
Give it to him. Give it to him in the flat.
Yep, got sacked again. Yep.
Man.
McAdoo, Austin in the backfield as well. So much talent on the defensive line.
They're everywhere. Seems like there's 15 guys on the defensive side of the ball because they get to the ball. Their first team defense gets to the ball in a hurry.
And if they should knock off LSU in that first game in Atlanta on ABC, the Chick-fil-A kickoff game, it's going to be really interesting to watch them the rest of the way because their schedule is tough, but that'll send a message to the country if they can pull off a win in that game.
Well, their challenge is, and they're fortunate because they have the bye week before they play Georgia Tech. And when you talk to coaches that played Navy and Georgia Tech, they're such a pain in the rear end to play because you got to change your whole defense. All the rules are thrown out because of the defending the triple option.
Well, just think about it. We watched Ohio State barely beat Navy last year and then go on and win a BCS game.
Well, if Navy went and threw the ball going for the 2-point conversion and run a quarterback lead like we called for, remember that day?
Yeah.
They beat the Buckeyes in the horseshoe.
Yep. But here's the other thing about playing teams like Georgia Tech and Navy. If you haven't played them on a consistent basis, it's always the week after the teams you play because the way Navy cuts, the way Georgia Tech cuts the defensive front seven, those guys get nicked up in the knees and they're sore the next day and they're sore the next week. So it's that following game you have to keep an eye on those guys defensively.
And they got to go to Rutgers the week after they play Georgia Tech. Rutgers has some really good young talent.
Tom Savage, outstanding young quarterback.
How about Mohamed Sanu? Wide receiver,
nice.
Running back, takes it out of the shotgun at quarterback.
Chris Spielman earlier took a trip to Raleigh on the direct TV drive to the national championship bus, part of today's festivities. 2010 spring game, and the direct TV bus will be going around the country, and we'll end up at the BCS championship game, January 10th in Glendale.
Brought to you by Chick-fil-A.
I felt like Mark and Lou on that bus. I felt like a big timer.
Well, on the way to Glendale, if they want to park it out in front of my house in Mesa for a couple of days, I've got a big garage area.
Well, you can go up to Dave's house in Chandler.
Mine's a little bit smaller than Mark's.
I got a dinky garage.
Can't hide money, Mayday. Look at you.
You know those famous words by NFL players, those 4 great words, F-R-E-E.
It's for me, right?
Drawn spun down by Searcy.
I see you haven't let that go. That philosophy still stays with you.
I've got a tattoo on my shoulder.
Guys, I know we're 5 months away from kicking off this season, but if you had to pick right now who will be playing in Glendale on January 10th on ABC in the BCS championship game, again, it's April 10th, but Who do you think is playing in that game?
Alabama, Ohio State.
Are both teams undefeated?
I think Ohio State may have one loss. I think Alabama will be undefeated.
Really?
Yep.
With the SEC championship game,
The,
they're going to run
the way that Nick Saban's recruited and the way that they just bowled over Florida in the SEC championship game, they just demoralized that football team because they just hit them in the mouth and they wilted. And I think that's going to be in the back of the Gators' mind if they get there, and they should get to the SEC championship game.
You know, the dark horse that I had, and because of poor choices and decisions by some players, was Oregon. I thought with Michael James coming back, Masoli, if you know, he doesn't get the urge to armed robbery or whatever he did for computers, I think Oregon had a shot, a legitimate shot to be in a national championship. I think Michael James is a fabulous running back. Right now, I would probably go with Mark. I think Ohio State and Alabama. Ohio State has a favorable schedule.
Yates pass broken up. I said the national championship game is on ABC. Correction, it's on ESPN this year. The BCS championship game in Glendale on January 10th. What about a dark horse? Is there a team that maybe people aren't talking about right now that'll be outside the top 10 or outside the top 15 at the beginning of the season that could find its way into contention?
Arkansas. I love the quarterback play of Ryan Mallett. I think he had a terrific year as a first-year full-time starter in Bobby Petrino's system. Their defense was awful, but if they can get the defensive side corrected and he can continue to grow in that offense, I think that's a dark horse you better keep an eye on because they're going to upset. They're going to get somebody big this year.
Here's Yates going deep, overthrew his man, trying to hit Highsmith. That was 4th down.
You know, the team that keeps popping in my head, and Mark's kind of sold me a little bit. I really think the improvement of Tyrod Taylor, I think with that power running game that they have, that frankly teams don't know how to defend against anymore because they're so used to defending against spread offenses. And of course, the one coordinator that you can always count on to get his guys to play, plus you throw in the aspect of special teams, Virginia Tech. I mean, you can make a strong argument. Bud does a great job. You can make an argument for Virginia Tech.
ABC is your NBA destination for the Sunday Showcase. First at 1 Eastern, it's Orlando, led by Dwight Howard taking on LeBron and the Cavs. Kobe Bryant and the Lakers then face the Blazers in Game 2 of our doubleheader on ABC tomorrow. It all starts with GMC Sierra NBA Countdown, 12:30 Eastern. We'll have a doubleheader Wednesday. You can watch Kevin Durant on ESPN go for the scoring title. And then Phoenix and Utah in the nightcap. And then the playoffs a week from today on ESPN and ABC.
I'll give you another team that's sneaking around the bushes that no one's talking about. And it's been at least 8 years that no one's really talked about this team about being a top 5 team. Oklahoma. Got Landry Jones coming back at quarterback. Bob Stoops, the way that he recruits and the way that he develops players. You know, nobody's really mentioning Oklahoma in the top 10, top 15 this year.
Got Ryan Broyles there at the receiver, but they're losing a lot too.
But he reloads every year. He recruits extremely well, but that's one of those teams that when you don't think that Oklahoma's going to be that good, that's the year that they end up going 11-1.
You can't count out Florida. I mean, what Florida's doing. I mean, you know that Urban's on a quest. I mean, he's going to prove everybody wrong, and I'll show you I'm back, which is fine.
What about a non-automatic qualifier? We've already gotten your thoughts on Boise State. Is there a team like a TCU, or there maybe it is
TCU? TCU is always outstanding, and Gary Patterson's an outstanding football coach. I mean, other than that,
somebody from the Big East might sneak around. You look at West Virginia, they've got a lot. You look at Rutgers. How about South Florida under Skip Holtz? B.J. Daniels at quarterback, Mike Ford at running back. That's probably the best talent that he's ever had to coach.
Here's Renner running the 2-minute offense for the white team, eluding pressure, and could not get that pass to his intended receiver, Joshua Adams. 16 seconds remaining here in the North Carolina spring game.
And by the way, Cincinnati is going to be pretty darn good. If you don't know about Butch Jones, you'll learn about Butch Jones. He's total opposite of Brian Kelly, but he's going to be as effective as Brian Kelly was at Cincinnati.
Zach Collaros, the quarterback there with
outstanding.
Tony Pike.
Yes.
Going to get drafted.
He's never lost a game. This guy's never lost a game. I think he was 40-0 in high school, Steubenville.
No Gilliard, though. He was a big-time player.
Yeah, Marty Gilliard's nice. Poor man's Percy Harvin.
Another Vikings.
That's a compliment,
by the way.
I was getting ready to go down that road.
Just look at Percy Harvin. I'm sorry, I just mentioned a Rookie of the Year.
By the way, Rick Spielman works for the Minnesota Vikings. That pass is
I was
caught by
waiting.
Lance
I waited 2.5 quarters for that.
Where did he get that job?
Of course, we all know that the Adrian Peterson draft pick was all Chris's suggestion to Rick to draft him 7th overall. As the North Carolina spring game comes to an end, Renner wants one more play. He wanted to call a timeout and get one more play. And if you enjoyed this, we've got more spring football for you next Saturday on ESPN and ESPNU. We were talking about Alabama, whether it can repeat in 2010. You'll get a chance to see the Tide on ESPN and the Tigers over on ESPNU. Right now down to Joe Shad.
Guys, standing by with Bryn Renner, the North Carolina quarterback. Bryn, you started off hot, touchdown on your first drive. How would you describe your overall performance today?
It was good to just get out here in front of the fans. I mean, great crowd at the spring game. We were just trying to take like another practice, and I think we did good as a team today.
Bryn, where do you feel you stand right now with the conclusion of spring practice in the quarterback competition?
I'm really not worried about that. I'm just going to get better one day at a time and see what happens with there. We got a long offseason.
The DH for the North Carolina baseball team, what's your plan? You got a game coming up here soon, right?
Yeah, I got a game. I'm going to take a shower and head over there, so it's going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to it.
Bryn Renner, thanks very much.
Appreciate it.
All right, Joe and Bryn, thank you. Well, guys, coming into this game, we said the offense knew that there would be some struggles with a young quarterback in Renner and Yates coming off a year in which he was near the bottom of the ACC in efficiency, but going up against a defense that is one of the best in the country. What did you guys think?
I thought both quarterbacks played extremely well when they had to, and I thought both of them made mistakes. They turned the ball over, and that's what I was shocked at, because that's one of the things they worked on, not turning the ball over.
Well, you're going to see the offensive line. It's going to be a better offensive line for North Carolina. They're going to get somebody that's going to be a solid quarterback for this football team because the receivers are going to be better. And Sean Drone, or Drone, however you want to pronounce it, he does it both ways. He's going to be the key to this offense. If he gets it going, they'll be a legitimate contender in the ACC.
Well, don't forget, North Carolina kicks off the 2010 season against LSU September 4th on ABC 8 Eastern in the Chick-fil-A kickoff game. Today, the white team beats the Blues 17-0. Hey, rookie, welcome to the NFL. Part 2 is coming up next. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For Mark May, Chris Spielman, Joe Shad, and our entire ESPN crew, I'm Dave Pasch. So long from Chapel Hill.